And we move on to Paulo Renato Jr. versus Jamal Pogues. And if you guys don't know this, I record my videos before the odds come out, and I've never been so interested to know what the odds are going to be before a fight than this one. You know, we've got Jamal Pogues sitting at 23% on the Tapology votes, and Renato Jr. 77% on the Tapology votes. I'm picking Jamal Pogues, and I will tell you guys why a little bit later on, but it's mainly just due to the red flags that I'm getting out of Paulo Renato Jr. It's so hard to find any information on this guy. There's like no fight tape on him at all, so I don't really know anything about him. And also, a big red flag that has come up in my opinion is he was fighting in 2017 at 170 pounds. He took 4 years off and then started fighting at 265 pounds. So yeah, he fought here at this tournament quarterfinals at 170, and then he come back after about 4 years off and fought at 265. So I guess that's interesting. That's cool. He's 6 foot as a heavyweight, which isn't the tallest heavyweight in the world. We recently saw a 6 foot tall heavyweight in Danilo Suzate, and he was very, very short compared to the 6'4" heavyweight that he was fighting in Waldo Cortez Acosta last week. But that's not really the point. What I do know about Paulo Renato Jr. is that he's a very good striker, and I'm going to shout out MMA Wizard for giving me this information. That is MMA Wizard with 2 Z's on Twitter, and he's really good at talking about prospects. But he found out that Paulo Renato Jr. has a really good kickboxing record. So in kickboxing, he was a Pan American champion, Brazilian champion, 5-time Guacho kickboxing champion, a 2-time Brazilian Cup kickboxing champion, and also, yeah, he also does mention that he fought at 2017 at welterweight and moved up to heavyweight. So that's interesting. So, but the point is, I can't find much information on this guy whatsoever. I really can't find out much about his fight tape. I can't really find much about his fight style. But he is known for a lot of KOs. He also does have one submission on his record, but that was about 5 years ago. But Jamal Pogues, he's a very low-risk wrestling grinder. You know, he recently beat Tim Hiley, which I guess is somewhat of a good win. I believe that Tim Hiley was on Dana White's Contender Series at some point or something like that. He lost to Alex Polizzi, who's doing somewhat big things at Bellator. I think that he's probably most well known for getting his jaw completely separated by Yoel Romero. Pretty scary, not gonna lie. He beat Marcos Brigadeiro on the Dana White's Contender Series a few years ago, and he had a really padded record. Paulo Renato Jr. also has a padded record as well. Might I add, he's never really fought anyone super great. And Jamal Pogues, you know, he hasn't fought for about 2 years' time. He's coming up a weight class. He last fought at light heavyweight, now he's fighting at heavyweight. So I don't know how he's gonna look. I don't know if he's been training for those 2 years or what he's been up to, but he's taken this fight on somewhat short notice. Paulo Renato Jr. was meant to fight some sort of other Brazilian with a ridiculously padded record himself, but I'm picking Jamal Pogues. I'm picking Jamal Pogues to win a decision. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting fight in the world. I think he's going to look to wrestle with Paulo Renato Jr. I think he's going to look to take him down and kind of grind him out and win a decision that way. But maybe with the way that Dana White is giving these guys speeches to impressive and fight more exciting and stuff like that, maybe Jamal Pogues looks to strike with Renato Jr. and Renato Jr. just knocks him out. But I think Pogues is gonna wrestle. I think Pogues is gonna wrestle. He's gonna do his low risk grinding style. Maybe look for some ground and pound and stuff like that. But yeah, the pick's Jamal Pogues to win by decision here. I think he's gonna beat Renato Jr. in the wrestling department, because I don't know anything about Renato Jr.'s grappling. So that's the pick, is Jamal Pogues. I'm really interested to know what the odds are. He's potentially going to be a big underdog looking at the Tapology votes, but we don't know anything about Renato Jr., so it wouldn't make sense for Renato Jr. to be a massive favourite anyway. But let's see.